We're live. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the May 12th, 2025 meeting of the University City Council to order at 6:30 PM. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Clay,
Present.
Councilmember Teeman,
Present.
Councilmember McMahon,
Here.
Councilmember Brenner,
Present.
Councilmember Fuller,
Here.
Councilmember Smotherson, Mayor Crowe.
Here. Before you have the agenda during the study session. We ask if there are any changes. Are there any changes at this time? If there are no proposed changes, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Motion made by Mr. Fuller. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We have no proclamations. You have before you the April 28th, 2025 joint study session with Green Practices Commission minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. Teeman, seconded by Mr. McMahon. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. You have before the April 28th, 2025 regular session minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. Smotherson. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to appoint or nominate Theodore Smith to the Urban Forestry Commission.
Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Brenner. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Fuller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to nominate Zachary Fickelstein to the Traffic Commission.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Smotherson.
Thank you, Mayor Crowe. I'd like to nominate Kevin Taylor for reappointment to the Traffic Commission.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Smotherson.
Thank you again, Mayor Crowe. I'd like to nominate Olivia Steely and Charlene Temple for reappointment to the Arts and Letters Commission.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Teeman. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Ms. Brenner.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to nominate Paul Timothy Brady to the Traffic Commission.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We have no swearings in. This is our first opportunity for citizen participation. And I think I can safely say that I know all the citizens in the room, but if someone else comes in, there are sign-up sheets right there by the door that people can sign up and sign on non-agenda items or sign up on agenda items. This is our first time with non-agenda items. We have one request to speak, Mr. Tom Sullivan.
Tom Sullivan, 751 Syracuse. A few months ago, I mentioned some streetlights that were out in the city. One was out at Olive and Kingsland, and 3 or 4 were out along a small patch of land along Kingsland across the street. Yet even after streetlights are brought to your attention, they still don't get fixed. Also, there is a streetlight that isn't working well on Chamberlain, just east of Kingsland, and another one in the Acker walkway at Enright. Also, a streetlight is out in the alley between Heman and Leland. A more serious matter is streetlight poles that have the cover for the electrical wires missing. These are at the bottom of the pole. A missing cover once led to a youngster getting electrocuted in the city. There's a streetlight pole without a cover around 729 Westgate, one around 739 Westgate, and another one at the southeast corner of Westgate and Vernon, across from the fire station. There might be more covers missing if anyone looks. There are also utility wires hanging down around the city. Most of them seem to be dead, but it would only take one live one to get someone killed. Another ongoing problem is dumpsters. There are several missing lids in the east end of the city. When it rains, it can create quite a mess. There's a dumpster with no lids in the alley between Heman and Leland. There's another one on Heman right by Metcalf Park. There's more than one in the alley behind Bartmer between Sadler and Kingsland that have broken or missing lids. There are more in the alley as it goes east of Kingsland. The city has about 10 inspectors on the payroll, some with $70,000, $80,000, and $85,000 annual salaries. Just what are they inspecting? You would think they would be paying closer attention to what's going on in the city. If an inspector took a drive through the city's alleys once a month, no telling what they might find. As mentioned before, Lewis Park needs some work. The fountain is crumbling into the pond, same as several sections of the lip around the pond. The longer the repairs are delayed, the more it will cost. As also mentioned before, the Rain Man sculpture display is in need of some attention. The brickwork needs tuck pointing. The planter has nothing planted in it, and weeds are everywhere. Diagonally across from the sculpture, the Cicero space will be vacant for a total of 8 years next month. What a failure it is that the most visible location in the loop can remain empty this long. Every day that Gregory Rose has been city manager and every day that Terry Crow has been mayor, Cicero's old space has remained vacant. Of course, there are many other vacancies in the loop. One of the more recent ones was a result of Joe Edwards' Peacock Diner closing. It's tough to get breakfast anymore in the loop. Thank you for listening to my comments.
That concludes our citizen participation at this time. Are there any council comments? If there are no council comments, we'll move forward with the public hearing. We have a public hearing that I will open at 6:37 PM for REZ 2501 Dearborg's University City LLC for a zoning map amendment to rezone the 0.91 acres that comprise Plat 7 of Market at Olive Lots 2 and 3 from Industrial Commercial District IC to Planned Development Commercial District PDC. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak?
There are none.
Madam Clerk, did you receive any written comments prior to noon today?
There were none received.
If none were received, I declare this public hearing closed at 6:37 PM. Now you have before you the consent agenda with items 1, 2, and 3, CBDG supplemental agreement, ratification of splash pad fencing and splash pad sod. Is there a motion to go through the consent agenda? Mr. Smothers, there's a first. Is there a second? Second from by Mr. Clay. Is there a discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Rose.
Honorable Mayor and council members, there's no city manager update tonight. So I would move on to item L2 on the council agenda. Ask that you consider a funding analysis or a pension analysis for the Uniform Pension Fund. And I believe we have Finance Director Keith Cole here tonight to present this item. Mr. Cole?
Thank you, Mr. Rose, Honorable Mayor, members of council. The item before you is to engage Baker Tilly to do a fund analysis of the police and fire uniform fund. The proposed item was presented at the April 22nd, 2025 pension board meeting, where the uniform pension board made a motion and seconded to engage Baker Tilly. So this is brought forward to for consideration.
Are there questions of Mr. Cole or of Mr. Rose? Dr. Brenner.
I'm just curious about the note that's on here that says there can be no change to the plan unless the plan is at least at the 80% funded mark. Does that mean we would go through this, but we'd have to get up to 80% to implement anything?
No, when there's a change, so there's a state requirement that if there's any change to like any additional funding to the plan or if that we would want to have any COLA increase for the retirees, then the fund would have to be at 80% funded. So anything below that, unfortunately, we can't make any type of changes to that.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, to their benefits?
Correct.
Got it.
Honorable Mayor, Councilmember Brenner, the reason for this agenda item centers primarily on that the uniform pension plan, the trajectory of that is continuing to go downward. And so unless there are changes that are made to the plan, how it is funded, then I don't see that trajectory changing. And so we don't have the expertise on staff to do that type of analysis. And that is the reason that we're asking for you to allow us to contract with Baker Tilly in order to bring that expertise on board.
Is there a motion to approve item L2? Motion made by Mr. Teeman. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Fuller. Is there additional discussions or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. I believe that unless there's something else, I believe that ends your report. If I'm correct. We now go to unfinished business. We have bill number 9567. Madam Clerk, may we have the second reading?
Bill 9567, an ordinance amending section 400.070 of the municipal code of the city of University City, Missouri, relating to the official zoning map by amending said map so as to change the classification of property known as adjusted lots 2 and 3 of the Market at Olive Plat 7 from industrial commercial district to planned development commercial district.
May we have the third reading?
Bill 9567, an ordinance amending section 400.070 of the municipal code of the city of University City, Missouri, relating to the official zoning map by amending said map so as to change the classification of property known as adjusted lots 2 and 3 of Market at Olive, Plat 7 from industrial commercial district to planned development commercial district.
Mr. Mulligan.
Thank you, Mayor. Just as a housekeeping matter on this particular bill, the agenda indicates that it's an amended bill 9567. Substantively, no provisions have been changed. It's my understanding that amended bill 9567 was assigned bill number 9566 when introduced on April 28th of this year. However, 9566 had been previously assigned to a bill and therefore only the bill number is being changed, nothing else. And then with respect to M2 on your agenda, you'll note that that's amended bill 9568. That was 9567, of course, being changed so that the sequence is correct.
Thank you very much. So we have had the second and the third reading of bill number 9567. Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. Smotherson. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. Is there discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember McMahon,
Aye.
Councilmember Brenner,
Aye.
Councilmember Fuller,
Aye.
Councilmember Smotherson,
Aye.
Councilmember Clay,
Aye.
Councilmember Teeman,
Aye.
Mayor Crowe.
Aye, the bill is passed. We now need to move to resolution number 2025-05 N1, which is a preliminary development plan for Market at Olive, Plat 7, adjusted lots 3 and 4. Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. Smotherson. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Clay. Is there discussion? Mr. Clay.
Give me. Thank you, Mayor. I did have a question. In the renderings, there seemed to be a tan building. Was that just a representation of kind of what the building would look like? Would the building actually be tan, or was that just?
Well, I think it's safe to say that nobody up here can probably answer that question. So I see two people leaning forward, one walking and one coming close. So Dr. Wagner.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rose, Brent Boimer from Deerbergs would be able to answer your question if you'd like.
To be clear, I'm not opposed to the tan. I was just curious.
And if you could just give your name and address, please.
Brent Boimer, Vice President of Real Estate for Deerberg Markets, Inc. Business address is 16690 Swingley Ridge Road, 4th floor, Chesterfield, Missouri, 63017. The short answer to your question is the pictures are not always, the greatest. We intend for those outbuildings to be architecturally and harmonious and aesthetically harmonious with with our grocery store building. It is, I would say it's in the brown family. I don't know that I would call it specifically tan, but the intent is for the outbuildings to be, again, architecturally and from a color perspective, consistent with what was approved for the main building on lot 1.
Okay. And I'm sure in real life it'll look different. It was a striking tan,
Sure.
but again, not necessarily bad.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, I believe we have a motion and a second. Am I correct? We do. Any further discussion of resolution number 2025-05? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we are going to amended bill 9568, which you will see down below. Madam Clerk, could we have the second reading of amended bill 9568?
Bill 9568, an ordinance approving a final development plan for adjusted lots 2 and 3 of Market Olive Plat 7.
We have the third reading.
Bill 9568, an ordinance approving a final development plan for adjusted lots 2 and 3 of Market Olive Plat 7.
Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. Smotherson. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Fuller. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Brenner,
Aye.
Councilmember Fuller,
Aye.
Councilmember Smotherson,
Aye.
Councilmember Clay,
Aye.
Councilmember Teeman,
Aye.
Councilmember McMahon.
Aye.
Mayor Crowe.
Aye, the bill is passed. We'll now go back to resolution 2025-06, item N2, the adoption of St. Louis Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan. Is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Mr. McMahon. Is there a second? Seconded by Dr. Brenner. Is there discussion? Mr. Smotherson.
Thank you, Mayor Crowe. And I just have a quick question. I'm not a question, but I do. In this mitigation for the hazard plan, do we expect that there will be federal funding for this? And that's my question. So I'll leave it at that.
Mayor Pro Tem Smotherson, until we hear different, we're continuing to proceed as we have in the past related to potential grants from the federal government.
Diplomatic response, a diplomatic response. You have before you the resolution 2025-06. Additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we have for new business to introduce bill number 9569. Who would like to introduce? Mr. Smotherson. Madam Clerk, may we have the first reading?
Bill 9569, an ordinance approving a final plat for a minor subdivision of land at 749 and 801 Swarthmore Lane to be known as 801 Swarthmore Lane.
Thank you very much. We now have bill number 9570. Who would like to introduce? Mr. Fuller. Madam Clerk, may we have the first reading?
Bill 9570, an ordinance amending certain documents approved by ordinance number 7351 relating to an industrial development project for 711 Kingsland Avenue.
Thank you very much. We'll now move forward to council reports and business. Are there any reports from members of council? Hearing none, we now will move forward to citizen participation. Are there any other requests to speak, Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Are there any council comments this evening? Hearing no council comments, I would welcome a motion to adjourn. Is there such a motion? Motion made by Mr. Smotherson. Is there a sec? What did I miss?
We still have the fiscal impact review.
Oh, I apologize. Boy, I skipped right. I apologize. Fiscal impact review. Forgive me, Council Member Smotherson and Fuller. Let's move forward to that. Mr. Smotherson.
Okay, I'll guess, thank you, Mayor, and I will get this started. I do appreciate in our, the previous meeting that we just had and the explanation that was given about the fiscal impact review. But I do want to point out to my council colleagues that, and Council Member Fuller and I have talked about this, the Mack Brothers project, their development is quite different than, I would say, the Seafood City Lot project, the Corner 17 project, and also the Parkview Garden project, meaning that you're talking about millions of dollars that these projects will cost. When you with the Mack Brothers, I don't believe that their development or their project would come anywhere close to that at all. So I think that what bothers me is that I do understand about the $2,000, but that bothers me in that in the incentives for small business people like that, there should be a line that we look at. And I think Councilmember Fuller mentioned this also, that we should actually, there should be a distinction between these multi-million-dollar developments opposed to a small businessman, because $2,000 makes a difference out of their pockets opposed to even the 25,000 or whatever amount that could be asked of some other business.
I respect the comments made by my colleague, and I'm not sure that I disagree with them. I think it's always, as we're working through these developments, it's always a little bit of a challenge. What I would suggest, as anyone is coming to, whether it be the Economic Development Retail Sales Tax Board or whether it be for other forms of support from the city, is that it would be important for us to have all the information before us as we do this. I'm not sure it's healthy to compare them to each other, because I think these are clearly not, these are apples and oranges numbers, but I do think we still have to have numbers before us before anything moves forward. But I do understand what you were saying, and particularly for a project that is either completed or nearly complete, it may even have the opportunity for lack of a better phrase, I would call a payback, in that that's sort of the way the EDRST funds have worked. Is if you do the project, that we don't pay, we pay you after you've done it. So my thought on that is just to say, I do think it would be important for the applicant to make sure that we possess the information we need to make a decision.
I'll let you go ahead. Go ahead, Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My only concern on this was that there was an impact utilizing whatever the fee is, whatever the dollar amount is now, but in the future, particularly these gentlemen right now are wanting to further develop this property beyond what it already has been. And at what point are we addressing this to other new businesses that are trying to be established, particularly along the Olive Corridor? We've had businesses that have opened restaurants, and am I to understand they also put up this particular fee ahead of time, or what makes that decision for us to charge that fee? That's my only, I just need some clarification.
Mayor, the procedure of putting in the fee, it only applies to individuals or businesses that are requesting some sort of subsidy. And so what occurs is that in order for me to make a recommendation to you about whether what they are asking for is reasonable or not based upon the region, there has to be an analysis that is conducted. We don't have the expertise on staff to conduct that analysis, so we are forced to contract out for that. So that means that we are forced to pay that cost. So as you know, when I say we, it's the use of taxpayer dollars in order to cover those costs. You may decide as a council that what they're asking for is not needed for that development, whether you want to subsidize at a higher rate or not, or subsidize it at any rate along that continuum. But once that analysis has been conducted, we then are in the position of being required to cover the costs for that. And so if the developer decides you're not providing me with enough subsidy, so we're not going to move forward with the project, or then the city at that point is on the hook. Or let's say they have already developed the project. And in this instance, you decide still that we don't believe that a subsidy is needed for that development. You would still be on the hook for whatever cost we ended up paying for that analysis to be performed.
Thank you. I didn't understand the subsidy portion. So that was the part that was missing in my head. Thank you. That answers my question.
Mr. Smotherson.
Thank you, Mayor Crowe. Just one other question, Mr. Rose, and that is, when you say that the council will decide, I mean, there's no indication on this contract of this ever coming to council or ever coming from council, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's the other thing that kind of bothered me in that, because I'm not even sure, is this a brand new process that's been put in place? Because this wasn't something that was put in place with Market at Olive or any other development.
Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Smotherson. When you began negotiations with Market at Olive developer, and I'll defer to our city attorney who was here during the initial stages of that negotiation because I wasn't. I believe that there was a fund that was created that the developer placed money into based upon that idea that growth should pay for growth. So the same concept, larger development, and I believe they funded that account. So City Attorney Milligan, can you speak to that?
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Rose. So with Market at Olive, there was a preliminary funding agreement that was entered into between the city and the developer that was approved by council. That of course, a larger development, and that provided for the developer to make a deposit with the city. And then as legal expenses, consultant fees were incurred, the money was taken from that special account the finance department set up. And then additional contributions were made to that along the way. And we've entered into these funding agreements for smaller projects that don't necessarily rise to the level that requires council approval, which is there's a $25,000 threshold there, as you know, in the code. So this type of funding agreement is typical, not only as I understand it here, but in other cities and working with Gilmore and Bell, who has performed special counsel work for us in the economic development area.
I think we have probably more of a scale issue here than anything, just so, I mean, I think we can probably find it, because clearly Marcus and Olive they did pay up front and they had to pay all along and then they had to replenish it. There's a lot of water under that bridge because that was a long time coming. I think the specific project that you are referencing is on completely different scale. And that's probably something that my guess is that Gregory and staff will probably look at and see what we need to do, because there's some of the projects that have been mentioned are on just a totally different scale than what the one that this question was asked about. So my thoughts are, my own personal thoughts are, again, I think that the particular applicant here, from what I've been told, we just don't have enough information, at least I don't, to make a decision. But I think that's a totally different situation than markets at Olive. I'm not sure where we come down on that. And Greg, I think we'd probably look to you to take the first stab at this. But I think there is a difference there between that project and markets at Olive and others.
Honorable Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem Smotherson, I think it's important to note as well as we're not charging in these instances the entire cost of the review. What we're saying is that they will be paying a portion of that cost, and for the remainder of the cost that will be due to the contractor that we use to do the analysis, the city will cover that portion. It just simply says that they have, it makes it less popular, I would guess, to just walk away from the deal. And if the city were to decide not to fund any incentives, at least you're able to recoup a portion of your cost.
Mr. Smotherson.
And thank you, Mayor. And may I just say at the end, and I do understand that, Mr. Rose, and I also understand what the mayor is stating, and that is we need all of the information. We need to know their financial. But I will absolutely say that if you go by the 7267, I believe it is, or right across the street from U-Haul, you can see that they have invested the money. They've improved that in the parking lot. They have their event center open and operating, and they are receiving clients and rental. So again, I think it's important to understand that distinction, and I'm hoping that the city can then look at that and look at the money that they've already invested in this. And what I'd like to see is that how can we get them to complete the project as they have diagrammed out and sent, and given that information to us? How can we help them get to that point of completing that project? So again, I appreciate re-looking at that and understanding what they've already invested. Thank you.
And I would like them to complete the project to expand too, because I think Olive is getting some well-deserved attention that it needs. The only thing I'm going to still come back to is when you see the parking lot or the building or whatever's been done, and someone is requesting funds from you, but you don't know how much they spent on the project, you cannot blindly approve their request. So until we get more information, we're kind of in a hiatus here, because we simply don't know what they spent. And frankly, correct me if I'm wrong, but even on the EDRST funds, they've got to show, on the EDRST funds, they have to show us receipts of the work that was already done. So it's not just telling us that they spent it. It's either showing us the canceled checks. It's either showing us the lien releases. It's whatever it is, because you kind of you got to have the paper path, because this isn't our money. It's somebody else's money. It's the very few people who are sitting out here in the audience's money, and those who are watching online as well. But I do appreciate this coming up, because I do think we do have a great deal of economic activity going on in University City, and I think we're going to have these situations come up where things are going to need to be recalibrated a bit. So I appreciate my colleagues, Mr. Smotherson and Fuller, bringing this to our attention. Now, are there any other items? I apologize that I skipped over that earlier. Are there any other council comments? Is anyone, or any other requests to speak? Madam Clerk?
There are none.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn? I don't want to get my hand slapped again. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Mr. Teeman. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. McMahon. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much for joining us.